Hello, my name is Howie from Sashiko, Australia. Welcome to my class of Sashiko Embellishing a Piece of Clothing. Today I'll be talking about ideas on embellishing articles of clothing like t-shirts, how to cover a fault, a mark or a hole that quite often comes into t-shirts as they get older, or just something that you want to embellish and make a statement. Torn clothing, men an unintended hole in a pair of jeans or a skirt or a jacket. So I'll tell you some ideas and I'll show you on a pair of jeans. Embellish a pair of jeans or a denim jacket and make it your own. I'm going to show you a little denim skirt. In these times of upcycling, it's a fun way to put new life into an old piece of clothing or just repair something precious and to give it more of a lifespan. So let's get started. Okay, so I actually got some jeans from Lifeline and they've got a tear in them. I don't normally wear jeans with a tear in them, but I know a lot of the young ones do and they think it's trendy. But that's a really good place to go and get some clothing or denim jackets and denim jeans and try this out on. It's a really good thing to do. So this pair of jeans had a tear in it, and as you can see, I've actually put a cutting ruler inside the jean leg so that I can have a nice stable solid piece of background to do my embellishing on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of ways on how to embellish these pair of jeans. So one way is I'm going to show you, these are templates that are very easily purchased. They're not expensive, they're very cheap. And there's oodles and there's so many different designs that you can get that are ideal for tracing onto fabric for Sashiko. So any of you that would like to know where to get these from, you can always email me and I'll let you know. So I've actually traced this one onto a piece of fabric this morning, as you can see, and I've used a ceramic pencil, which is one of the, I actually use a sew line. There's a sew line one, or you can use a bohin one. There are other tailor's chalk, tailor's chalk, or other markers that are water soluble. Any of those is ideal to use with these particular templates. So I use this one because I find it works very well. So what I did this morning was I actually traced this particular design with my ceramic pencil, and that was the outcome. So that there now is ready for me to do my Sashiko stitching, and I will do a little bit of Sashiko stitching before we finish the class. So this one, I thought that I would do it and I would actually put that on top of there. So I'm going to embellish that and put that on top of there. And then once I've stitched it, and then I would just attach it to the jeans with maybe a couple of rows of stitching, either hand stitching or on the machine, whichever takes your fancy. I would probably maybe fray some of this, the outside of this, which I think looks really nice, and then I just do a couple of rows of hand stitching. I think that's quite enough. So that's one way. The other way is that I've actually got another piece of denim looking fabric that is 100% cotton, which is what I've used with jeans. And it doesn't matter what side I use with this one, either the dark side or the lighter side. And that is going to actually go underneath Okay, so I'm attaching it, I'm just putting it on top of the ruler. It's cut large enough that it's going to work very, very well. So I've got a piece that goes along there. And what I might do later is we can actually, once we've done the Sashiko stitching, what we could do is we could always do a perimeter piece of stitching just to hold the outside there as well. So I'm actually going to show you how to do this one, and I'm going to leave all those lovely pieces of texture there, which I think is really nice, and then I'm going to take my template that I've decided to use here, and I'm going to place it on top of the whole tear. Now this is because this is white, and sometimes it is indigo, a denim, but white may not show up, so I've actually got a blue one that I'm going to use. These wash away pens come in lots of different colours, so if you go to your local patchwork shop, you'll find that they'll have all different colours. So, and that's for using on light and dark fabrics. So I'm actually going to trace this one on just to show you exactly how we get the design onto the background. You'll find that when you go over the tear, that may not take, but that's okay. You could use a couple of colours of thread when you're stitching this. You haven't got to use the one colour. I'll probably just use the one colour for this, for the exercise, but you can see I'm going backwards and forwards, because if you do that, you can be sure of getting a very good transfer. And I'm actually going to pin these just to make sure that the fabric behind is going to stay stable while we do our Sashiko stitching. You'll find that some of those small ones are not going so well. So maybe the more larger designs are probably a little bit better when you're going over the tears. But that'll be something that you'll work out as you, the more that you do it, the more you'll learn what works and what doesn't work. The beauty of these templates is that you can use them over and over again. I've been using them for a long time now, and they work very well while we're in class. Okay, so as you can see there's a couple here that haven't been done, but you can see where I've got my stitches drawn. So it makes it easy for us to do our Sashiko stitching. Okay, so you can see where the design is, and you can see where we're going to stitch. So what I'll do is I'll just get a few pins, and I'm just going to, because I've got the cutting mat behind that, I know that it's not going to go onto my onto the back of the jeans. So I've got that actually pinned down now, and then I'm going to take some thread, and what I'm going to do to make it easier, I'm actually going to baste this on. So I'm going to do big tacking stitches, and that will make it so much easier to do the Sashiko stitching. Once we take those pins out, you'll find that it will be so much easier. So we'll just do some big tacking stitches, and I'll take those out after we've done the design onto the piece of fabric. So just big tacking stitches. So I'm actually tacking down the side of the tear as well, so that stays stable. And I don't mind that little piece of background is coming through. I don't mind that at all. In fact, I think that's quite good. This way you'll find it so much easier to do the stitching too, because you haven't got pins in the way, which do sometimes hurt the fingers a bit. Those out of the way. So as you can see, I'm going through the jean and the piece that I've put underneath there as well. Now these are just big basting stitches, ladies and gents. These are just to hold it there until you've finished your stitching, and then you'll take that out. There we go. I've done as much as I'm going to do in the basting. That's very rough, but that's all that is required. Thread it up. Now I'm going to use Sashiko cotton. I would suggest that you use a thicker cotton because of the denim. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a knot on top, and this is a preference that you can do either yourself. You can put one underneath or on top, that's up to you. I quite like using knots on top of when I'm repairing things. I think it looks really good. So, okay, so I'm going to, this is a pathway. I'm actually going to stitch down here, then I might stitch along here, and then I might come back and do a little bit more there. So I'm going to do, I do a bit, because these are all crosses, I'm just going to do all straight lines in one way and the other way, and then that forms the design. Okay, so maybe I'll just start here and just to show you, because I won't be doing the whole thing today, but I'm just going to show you what this little piece here can do, what the outcome will be. Okay. And of course you can do more as you're going. You can do more than what's on the pattern too. That's the other thing. It hasn't got to follow the pattern. If you want to put a few more stitches in, then by all means do so. So I'm going to go along here. I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to go over to the next row. Okay, so I'll come down here. This one's quite a big. I'm going to go back again. You can see I am following the design, but I'm also putting in a few extra stitches as well. Because when we transferred the design onto the jeans, if you recall, the closer we got to this cut, it didn't transfer very well. So that's why I'm putting in a few extras. I'm going to turn around again. This is quite a nice design for doing doing this on jeans. It's simple, but it covers the whole of the area that you want to embellish. It's quite nice. Turn it around again. Now this is the, as you can see, this is probably the more, it's probably the nicer way to do it, but it's also the hardest way to do it as well. To actually put your design onto the scrap of fabric and attach it later is probably the easier way to go. But this is the harder way. Now I'm going to have to finish off. What I'll do is I'll just do a little knot on the outside. Okay, so that's, as you can just imagine that basting is in there. So as you can see, I've gone one way. So now what I'll do is I'll thread up my cotton and I'll come back and I'll do the other way, and then you can see then you can see what it's going to look like, and then we can, and then as you go, you would finish these other 4 sections as well. Okay, so I'm now starting the alternate direction. So what I'll do is, I've also got another knot on the end of this as well. So I will start here, and I'm going to go across here. As you can see, those markings that are in the blue are very, very helpful for knowing where to go on for your stitching pathways. You can see the design is now starting to come to life. So I'm now going to have to come down here. And you can see where the blue designs are on here, ladies. That will wash out. That will wash out when after you finished your stitching. You can just soak them in water and that'll come away. I'm not worrying about the length of my stitches all that much because I think it lends itself to the organic look of the patches. And of course, I would normally do longer stitches, but because this is a demonstration, I'm just doing as much as I can do to give you an outcome and just show you what the result will be. As you can see, I've used a variegated cotton here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm sure with more time available to you, you could probably make these stitches just a little bit more even. But even though they're not all that even, I still think they look quite good. Okay, so you can see how this just take that away and just look at the stitching there, and you can see how well it's coming together. Okay, so I'm going to come up here and do this last one along here. Of course, you could just do straight lines, ladies, if you wanted to. That would probably be a lot easier for you. Now, I'm just going to bring that up, and I'm just going to finish that off with a knot. Now that's going to, as you can see, ladies, I've left this here because I think that gives it some character. I'll just take this out here and just show you what, I'll take that basting out. That makes it a little bit easier to see the actual outcome of what we've done today. So you can cut this away and eliminate that and make it a lot smoother or a lot cleaner. But I quite like the look of leaving that ragged look. I think it looks quite, it just adds texture to it, and it adds interest to it as well, and it shows that we're actually mending something. Okay, so that is all I'm going to be doing to that one, and then you would just do the rest of this, and then I think it would look really, really nice. Okay, so, and you've got your backing that's going to make it quite stable, and you could trim if you went to the inside of that there, and then you would trim that down just to be the size of what we've stitched. Now I hope that makes sense. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to, this is a little skirt that I got from a Vinnie store, and I'm sure some young lady will be quite happy to have this. Won't fit me, but that's okay. I'll probably take some of these off. Okay. So what we've got here is I've just got a little flower. This little flower, I'm going to show you how to trace that on. And as I did before, I'm going to put this this ruler underneath, because it just gives it something really solid for you to draw on. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to show you how, although I've only got one stencil here, I'm actually going to show you how I'm going to put another one down there as well. So, all right, so the same, I'm going to use the same pen because this has got quite a bit of light fleck through it, so I think it'll transfer quite well. And because I've got this between the skirt, it won't go through. Okay, so I'm just going to as you can see, that transfers very, very well. So go to your patchwork shop supplier and ask them for a range of water-soluble, coloured and white transfer pens. You might even be able to find them in, I'm not quite sure whether you can find them in Officeworks or something, I'm not quite sure. Okay, now you can see that there, so that's going to look quite nice, and I'm just going to Sashiko around that. Now that's really, really simple. So what I thought I might do was I might just put another one just of the little daisy down on the side here. This is the beauty about templates, ladies. You can actually pick out what you want to stitch. And I manipulate a lot of templates. I've got lots of different designs out of one particular template, and it makes it very easy. They're a lot better than paper templates, although there is a place for paper templates. Okay, so I've now got one with a stem and one with just a head. So I'm just going to, now that's very, very simple, ladies. Now, as I said, as long as you get a really good transfer pen that will wash away, that works extremely well. So this is not as organic as what the previous one is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out, and I will come from the back. Now just be mindful when you are doing this that sometimes there's a pocket in there. Okay, so be mindful that you don't stitch through the pocket, because the person that's wearing it might like to use the pocket. So just be mindful of that. So okay, so I'm going to actually put my knot on the back, and then I'm just going to stitch this. And you can see how very simple embellishing a little piece of denim clothing can be. You might find that you can't put as many stitches on when you're doing stitching through denim. It's a little bit thicker, but it's still quite doable. Now, that's about as far as what I would jump, ladies. I wouldn't jump any further than that. Any further than that, I would finish off and start again, but that works quite well. So what I might do is, I'll show you in the next one. Okay, now you can see that I've actually I started here, which was probably the wrong place to start, and I've come back here, and then I've gone over there, and then I've come around here. Because there's a smaller area between this point and this point, it would have been better to start here, because then I've got a smaller space to actually jump. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to finish off. So I'll go to the back. I'm actually going to finish off. And I'm going to do that with just a little whip stitch through the last couple of stitches. And then what I'm going to, and then I think the better idea would be to start down here. So we're going to start down here, go up there, down there, across there. So we'll just keep going round and round. Okay. can see I'm putting my thumb on the entry point where the thread goes into the fabric. It helps to eliminate tangling when you've got a long piece of thread. And girls, make sure that you use a thicker cotton on this. You'll find that it's a lot nicer. You'll get a lot brighter outcome than something that's quite fine. Make sure you stretch it after you've pulled it through. Okay. I'm just doing the last little bit here. As you can see, I've stitched all this around here. So I'll just do the last little bit, and I'm just going to show you how to finish off. Of course, we've got a centre there and a stem, but you can do that separately. I just wanted to show you how to finish this off and how easy it is to do just a little bit of embellishment on something that is made from denim. Okay, so all right, so I've finished that off now, so you can see that little flower there. And what I do is I just go to the back here and I just whip it back through the last couple of stitches. And then I just trim it, leave a little bit of a tail there, and that's all there is to it. So then I would go and maybe put a coloured, just a little coloured centre in there, maybe green, maybe yellow, I don't know, and then do the green stem, and then we could just do this little one over here. So you can see how very easy that is to do, and how nice that would be just to embellish a little denim skirt with just something on the side. So you never know, your granddaughters or your daughters might like that. So, all right, ladies. So for today, this one is just a matter of sewing the sashiko stitching as you would normally do it, and then remember I just said about doing some fraying, which would also look quite nice. And I love to fray. I love to fray fabric. I think it really just adds something extra to, especially when you're doing borrow or sashiko. If the fabric lends itself, it just adds a little bit of texture to it. And of course, after you've done the fraying, what you would do is you would go around the outside of it, and where you've stopped fraying, you would maybe do a row of stitching or something. So this frays very easily. It's lovely to fray. Very nice. Girls, don't throw away those. Later on I've got a great idea for all those little frayed pieces. And that'll be another video sometime down the track. See, one of these is a little bit harder to fray, but never mind. Anyhow, that gives you the idea anyhow. So I would probably, that's not very straight, so we would have to trim it off and then do that again. So, but as you can see, the fraying looks really nice. So do your sashiko stitching and then stitch it on with maybe the machine or just a little bit of hand stitching onto that patch over the jeans, or even onto a couple of patches onto the side of a skirt or something. It looks really nice as well. All right, so that's the class for on how to embellish some denim clothing with a little bit of Sashiko and just a few ideas using templates and stitching them in the Sashiko stitching. So I hope you've learnt something today, and I hope you go back and have a look at the video again, and just to reinforce everything that I've said. And by all means, if you've got any questions, you can always email me, Sue at sashikoaustralia.com.au, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So bye for now.